Money with Friends. Every Wednesday, it is our time to chat. It is our time to have great conversations about money, life, and I say everything else. Because to me, money encompasses everything. And I think if you've been watching the show, you know that money encompasses everything because money means everything. So tonight's show is about, I've been posting it. I say how you live and die matters. Of course, nobody wants to talk about death. Everybody wants to talk about life. But tonight we're going to have a candid conversation with two of our friends because we know it's important to understand what do you need to do to really maximize your best life here on earth, and what can you do to prepare so that your loved ones do not have to be surprised and you don't need to have any regrets when that day comes. The other day I was actually a week ago, I was talking to some friends and we were talking about this young superstar who was getting married. I think that was her own first marriage. She had a couple weddings actually. First wedding, I should say. She had a couple weddings this month, and she decided to buy a dress for $120 for her first wedding. And we were saying, why would you do something like that when you have plenty of money to buy something more fancy? And some folks were saying, like, it's good that her focus was on the wedding, the marriage, not the wedding. But at the end of the day, for those of us who believe life is to be lived in the moment, being in the present, we felt like, spend a little bit on yourself while you're alive is also very important. So yes, tonight we're going to discuss why is it important to, yes, have a plan for the future, but also to make everything to do everything possible to have your best life here while you're breathing, while you're on earth. So without further ado, I would like to welcome my friends who are on tonight with me. I have a great new friend and also I have a returning friend. You've seen her here before. This is designer Edna Sherry. Edna, why don't you say hello first, and then we're gonna turn this over to Ernst Jean-Jacques to say hello as well.
Hi, Gabrielle. Hi, everybody. I'm so happy to be here tonight with you. Thank you for the opportunity to talk again with the people tonight.
Yes, definitely. Designer Edna Sherry, you didn't tell them you are such an awesome designer. I've seen your beautiful masterpieces, right?
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I am a designer and I'm also a visual artist. I think.
And an actress. I've been to a couple movies you've been in.
Yes.
Hot on Demand, and then recently Angelica.
And at the beginning of next month, I will be performing in Genesis with Come Cynthia.
Oh wow, amazing! And I know Come Cynthia, so I know it's gonna be great. Let me know when, so I can come and support you.
June 4th, put it on your calendar.
Yes, June 4th?
Yes.
Oh, wow, I have so many things for June 4th. Graduation is graduation season. But yes, definitely, I'll try my best, Edna. Thank you, Edna, for being here. And Ernst, thank you for being here for the first time.
Hello.
Ernst is a faithful follower of the show. And I always email, text saying, thank you for supporting. And you say, I said, I think it was like today or the other day, would you like to be on the show one of these days? And you're like, why not? I'll come out and help you out, Gabrielle. So thank you so much for being here tonight.
Absolutely. You're welcome. Well, my name is Ernst Jean-Jacques. I grew up here in the Boston area. In fact, I grew up in Somerville. I did my studies at Wentworth Institute in Boston. I have a degree in engineering electronics. Unfortunately, I've only worked in the field for just shy of 2 years.
Oh, wow.
I've gotten into sales and marketing and never went back. So currently, I'm employed for a major dealer here. I sell Toyotas. So if any one of you guys are ever in need of a vehicle, you can contact me and I'll be glad to help.
Yeah, reliable. I used to have Toyotas for a long time, and then I changed a little for change sake. I did, but yeah, reliable cars, definitely. I'll let my younger siblings or nieces and nephews know. But tonight's show is so important to me because I know when I was having conversation with both you and Edna and a few other friends who were thinking about being on the show tonight, we said how important it is, like the idea of one day to be born and a day to be born and a day to die. When you first heard that as a youngster, because I remember where I was as a teenager when I heard the song actually that came on the radio. It says, there is a time to be born and a time to die. What did that, what feelings, did you have when you heard that type of
But
idea?
as for me, obviously, being young, it's not a subject that you want to talk about,
Correct.
or you care to talk about. But
Uh-huh.
obviously, as I get older, having children and this type of thing come to mind. And I happen to be my attitude in life is a little different. I would think than most. I look forward, while most people talk about not wanting to get older,
Mhm.
not looking forward to it. I happen to be a person who looks forward to my older years.
Wow.
And I've always said to people, it's a privilege getting old,
Mm.
right? Because the alternative is not very good.
All right.
So, if, for instance, I'm 55 years old, I look forward to 75.
Yes.
So that
Yeah.
simply means I have 20 great years ahead of me, I'm sorry, that I can plan for. So, speaking of the topic, to live and die, and it's really preparing yourself as as an older gentleman, preparing myself, be responsible enough, um, look forward towards building my legacy, and prepare myself for the older years
Yeah.
so I can live a comfortable and joyful life, if you will.
Yeah. Because it's true when you're young, right? When you're young, the idea of one day, there's a time to be born and a time to die. Like you don't think about it because mortality is not something that is in your purview. We're not facing mortality well, people die at any age, but I'm saying like when you're young, teenager, I remember when I was in high school when I first heard that song, and I'm like, this doesn't apply to me because it's for older people. But the truth of the matter is, you never know. For example, we have a well-known superstar, someone that I really love a lot. He's your age actually, Jamie Foxx, and he's facing a really tough time right now. He's been at the
Right.
hospital for over a month. He didn't think, a month and a half ago, I don't think he thought he would be where he's right now. So what was your first thought or thoughts when you first heard one day to be born, a day to die? Because again, nobody wants to think about that death.
I don't think I ever really thought about it until I experienced it in someone that I love.
Oh.
Because, yes, because it was like, okay, a song is a song and we all sing the song.
Mhm.
But when my sister passed and she was only 36 years old, that's when I experienced death and understand that one day I will go in that direction also. But even though she died, and I knew then that people will die, but it didn't really synchronize with me personally because still felt full of life, you know,
Mhm.
and um, and I kept living,
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
because it's like I'm alive and this is it,
yeah,
this is it.
yeah.
But it's only later in life that you realize, really, I have to go. And you start asking yourself questions. What will I do? And what will I leave
Beyond, yeah,
behind?
yeah.
Because so many people come and go and they don't leave any legacy. And
Correct.
nobody remember them. The
Mhm.
close family remember them. But once they're gone, they're gone. But I start thinking about what I can do when I leave. And I know people will still thinking about me. People will remember me.
Yeah, yeah. Very important. Very
Yeah.
important. Because the truth is, the idea of not thinking about mortality is because nobody's planning for that when that time comes, when it's your end. What are they gonna think about? Or what have you done to make it easier for those who are left behind? So what do you think is the case? Why are so few people are planning what you are trying to do right now? Like, what will I leave behind when I'm not here? Why do you think so few people think about that? The idea of the legacy that they're leaving behind?
I think it's a question of education mostly,
Okay.
especially where we grew up. Nobody talked about that.
Mm,
We haven't been trained, to think about it.
yeah.
And if you even think about that, people in Haiti, most people will say, me, insurance, no, I'm not going to have an insurance so people don't kill me.
Mhm. Yeah.
This is a
Yeah.
true thing. I
Correct.
still have people saying that now.
Yeah.
So this is a matter of education. That's the first thing.
Mhm.
And remember that we have a colonial past, and it's due to that one too.
Yeah.
Because the way Haitian people have been educated, nobody
Mhm.
wants you to succeed, right? We have to
Mhm.
admit that. Uh, the Occidental, if you have to call it, the colon, if you have to call them like that, they are still the one doing education back home. So they are not there to educate you. They are not there to give you the best education.
Correct.
They give you just enough. And the little bit that they are giving to you, they put a lot of poison into it too. We have to remember that.
Correct.
So Haitian people have grown up trying to compete against each other.
Mm.
And everybody wants to look like the colon.
Mm.
Everybody want to look like them and want to act like them. And
Mm.
they become predator for the other one, for their own brothers. And they
Yeah.
don't care about it's just about showing off.
Yeah. So they're not thinking about the future. It's all about
They're
the
not
now,
thinking about the
showing off,
future.
and
Everybody
yeah.
want to show off.
Yeah.
And
But you think it's only because I think in this country, I mean, I see that because I've been working in financial services for a long time. And the studies have shown that in this country, believe it or not, the United States of America, only 40% of the people are planning for have planned. And those who are planned have planned very minimal planning. Maybe they have an insurance policy. Maybe they have a little savings, retirement savings that they can leave to as an inheritance for their kids. Like all over the world, people are not paying attention to planning to leave a legacy because of the fact that they're not thinking about mortality. They're not thinking about, like, listen, today I'm here, tomorrow I may not be here. I may be gone, I may be gone tomorrow. So what can I do? How do I plan so that I don't have to worry about what I'm gonna leave behind? Do you think that, I mean, Ernst, what do you think about that in terms of, like, why do you think folks are not thinking about planning for what could happen anytime?
Well, in my opinion, could be a number of things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'm gonna start with some of the harshest one. I mean, some people that just I whether it is, I mean, I mentioned the word legacy, so
Uh-huh.
did Edna. Okay. Um, for some, it could just be they don't think about it, they don't care to do it. For
Mm-hmm.
others, it's I think a lot of it has to do with their socioeconomics level,
Yeah.
where they are, what can you do? Because life is tough enough.
Correct.
Okay. And these people, what they focus on is maybe if they have children, their education.
Yeah.
I'm not, and in fact, I'm sure all three of us on here can probably relate to what I'm about to say. Being children of Haitian parents,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I'm sure you heard the saying, I don't have much to give you, but other than the education,
Correct.
Mhm.
right? I don't have the money, but I'm going to educate you so it could be something,
Correct.
right? So building a legacy doesn't necessarily, in my opinion, have to do with how much money you have to live. It's what you can
Correct.
instill in your children.
Correct.
Okay. And for others, it could be maybe a lack of knowledge, not having a connection, not having a roadmap in terms of where am I going? How do I start? You
Correct.
know?
Mm-hmm. Where do I go
It's
from
funny.
here? Mm-hmm.
If I could share a quick incident I had where I think you and I may have spoken about that off the air. Just people who knows a little bit of um, my financial ability, if you will talk to me about what they think I should drive
Mm-hmm.
versus what I drive now currently, right?
Yeah.
And I find it interesting, and I think my response was even going back to the story you told about the millionaire who bought a $120 dress. Some people put certain value on certain things, which other people don't, right? Because that girl with the $120 dress could have been going to Dubai first class, a $10,000 per night hotel room, and so forth. They just don't put a value on the dress, you know? I happen to be a person who clearly understand of, you know, just certain things are valuable to certain people, not to others.
Correct.
But as far as preparing yourself.
So I'm saying that you would rather do the traveling and the spending and having the experience other than
Absolutely.
having other things. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And,
I think again, we talked about like how you live. So, you know, we've been saying like what happens when you're not here, but how you live is also very important. So going back to that dress, you're someone who works very hard and you do have accumulated or have acquired enough. How do you live? How do you live your best life and still plan for? I mean, like, do you think that some people feel guilty to actually enjoy? Yes, I understand their priorities and stuff, but do you think? And I was gonna say something. Let me have her speak first, and then you can go. And
right.
But do you think the priority, like Edna, you're a beautiful woman. You like to dress nicely. I mean, I've seen you out there, and I think it's so important to live our best life. You know. To really go after what we want while we're alive, because other people have decided, well, I'm not gonna even experience life. I'm gonna leave everything behind for my kids or for my grandkids. What do you feel about that?
I always say that you spend what you have. You can't spend if you don't have.
Correct.
And a lot of time, me, myself, I don't feel like dressing up. And you will meet me and I'll be like everybody else. And, you know, but as we were talking about that young person who get that $128 dress or $150, I don't know how much. She have the money, but you see how far you learn about her just because she did that. So we don't know why she did it.
Yeah.
Maybe she did it exactly to have people talking about her.
That's a great point.
There could be a reason, yeah.
That can be the reason. That can be the only reason. Maybe after that, she changed into $1,000, you know, $30,000 dress. But the first thing people will talk about is that one dress that she wore.
Yeah.
And a lot of people happen to talk about that.
Yeah. Yeah, and she did change into I don't know, multi-thousand, I don't know how much.
Exactly.
She did. That was her first. That was her first wedding at the Justice of the Peace, and then the lavish wedding was done in Mexico, and you know, very fancy. But let's go back a little bit. You know, in her case, maybe she had an ulterior motive to do what she did. Many of the, even Mrs. Obama has worn $80 dresses so that she could let people know it's okay to go to Macy's or wherever, you know, one of those stores to buy something that's not so lavish and that's not so expensive. But again, let's go back to those people who do have worked hard and they have acquired, and yet they've decided not to live life to its fullest because they're trying to save for tomorrow, a tomorrow that may never come. Now, it's okay to save for your, of course, we talk about retirement and we'll talk about that at the end of the show here. But what okay, so let's talk about this story. I remember we talked about it, this cruiser who decided, you know, I'm gonna buy a cruise, right? I'm gonna go on a cruise. And after he paid for the cruise, he decided to bring crackers and noodles on the cruise. And throughout the days, he kept going into his cabin to eat crackers and
noodles.
It wasn't until the very end of the cruise, like maybe the last day, someone who was there said to him, "Wait a second, I haven't seen you at the any of the, you know, lunchroom or the restaurants." And he's like, "Well, you know, I only had money for the cruise. I didn't have money for all the other extras." And that's when he found out that no, it was already all inclusive. So do you think that so many of us, so many people are living in this world, even though everything is all inclusive, they can actually live their very best life because they have access to all these things, and yet they've decided not to take advantage because a lack of knowledge? Why do you think is the reason why somebody, if metaphorically speaking, would go on a cruise of life and not take advantage of everything that is available to them?
I
The first,
can't. Oh, sorry.
no, you can go. You
Go
can
ahead, curtains. Yeah.
Okay, so I can't really wrap my head around this. I love this topic. We can talk about this all night, right?
Yeah.
So, to a certain level, it could be a psychological problem.
Correct.
Trauma, if you will. It's like seeing the kids who was very hungry, and you invite them for dinner, like they haven't eaten for days, and they'll eat a little bit and they're afraid to take more because they're so used to not having enough.
Mhm.
It could be something like that. And I think also it's also and I don't want to change the subject, but I think part of it has to do with matters of the heart, because when we talk about people that work so hard, not rewarding themselves, I guess
Correct.
we'll have to ask ourselves what pleases somebody's heart, right?
Correct.
And that's gonna propel me to a quick story. I love telling stories. I don't know if you know that,
Please,
right?
I love stories. Go ahead.
So a friend of mine he's literally a multimillionaire, and I'm very close to him. I can just take a flight, show up at his house, no problem. Treat his house like it's mine. So he was telling me he goes, Ernest, we gotta go to Paris together. I really want to show you how to live the high life. He said to me, right? He
Yeah.
goes, I'm telling you right now, Ernest, we go out to eat, $700 plates. And true story. I looked at him, I said, George, I really appreciate the offer. And I go, and he lives in North Miami Beach
Uh-huh.
in a private, like superstars live there. But on the other side of the street, you have the regular people and there's some homeless. I said, George, you know what, really, really, and again, that's why I'm struggling with that question, because what make me feel living my life to the fullest, and a lot of people probably don't know that about me unless you're very, very close to me, is helping others.
Mm.
And I said to him, I go, I'll settle for the $80 plates and I will take that money and help someone else with it. That's
Yeah.
really the person I am deep inside. So I guess that's why I'm so focused on my legacy as opposed to, but I do fun things, it's interesting. My son graduated college 4 years ago, and I bought the car I always wanted for myself that same weekend. He was a BMW convertible. And then I showed up, he's like, is that my car? I started laughing. I'm like, no, it's my car. That's
Yeah.
me celebrating not having any more children to put to college. Just to give you, there's a balance. I think some people are, what makes certain people happy sometimes may not be the same for another. If
Yeah.
that makes sense.
I like the idea of the balance because I too believe to whom much is given, much is required. But I also believe that, the good word, the Bible says that you love others as yourself. So implication, you gotta love yourself first, and you gotta take good care of yourself. Because again, the idea of the scarcity mindset or the lack of knowledge mindset, because this person went on the cruise, had already paid for everything, but because he did not ask for, maybe he didn't ask questions or he didn't know what he didn't know, he is navigating, cruising without experiencing all the benefits. There are people who are navigating through life and they're not experiencing all the benefits. And then when they see somebody like Edna coming through at a party looking beautiful, what do they say? She's lucky, she has everything. It's the same way, the cruiser, I'm sure he's seeing all these people dressing up, going to the diners or the dining room, going to the dining rooms, having fun, eating all they could eat, and yet saying like, I wish I could do the same. When he had access to do the same, he just didn't know and he never asked. Would you agree, Edna?
Yes, in that case, it's a lack of information.
Mm-hmm.
And but there are other people who decide they don't want to spend what they have, because I read that story about that guy who died in begging in the street. But in his account after he passed, he had millions and millions of dollars. So this is somebody who have take the initiative of not enjoying life.
Right.
This
It's like they made a decision not to enjoy life. Like
yeah,
we all
that's
have
what he
family
wanted to
members.
do, because
Yeah.
having more money, looking at the numbers, that's what make him happy. But
Yeah.
on the other side, I will not stop myself from having fun just to help others. I remember hearing Wayne Dyer saying, "You cannot be sad enough to make anybody in the world happy."
Mhm.
So if I have to be happy, I will take advantage and be happy.
Yeah.
I will save some for tomorrow. I will help with what I can help, but I will be happy. I
Yeah.
will please myself if I have to, because I cannot make anybody happy if I'm not happy.
Yeah.
Amen.
And even in my work, when I'm doing something, I will kill myself for my work to be the best, because I said to my customer, nobody's happy until I am happy. If I don't like what I'm doing for you, I'm not happy, you won't be happy. So
Mhm.
this is me.
Yeah.
But I think some people just, you know, um, as we said before, it's a psychological problem, because they have lacked something at a certain age, or something have happened in their life, and they go up with that scarcity. They are afraid to not having along the way, and they become really stingy. They hold on to everything.
Yeah. Being stingy and too frugal to the
Yeah.
point where you're not living life. And
Yes.
again, it could be a lack of knowledge because, that idea of like, so going back again to when you say it's a lack of knowledge. So what do you do if you understand, wait a second, I don't have enough knowledge and I would like to live life to its fullest? Because at the end of the day, everybody wants to be happy, right? Or have joy, right? We want to have joy. We want to feel like how I live, how I'm living this life is very important to me. How I'm maximizing every single day that I'm giving on this earth is very important to me. How can I do that? Sometimes you do have the knowledge because you grew up in an environment that has given you that information. Because if you grow up with parents who had it and they showed you the finest things in life and you are good. But if you grew up in poverty and now you are acquiring new things, you're gonna need to do some education so that you know how to handle. Because I know when I was going to BU for my certificate of CFP, Certified Financial Planner certificate, one of the things that we did with the first class, financial planning 101, we talked about the psychology of money.
Mhm.
How do you feel? The first question that we're supposed to ask a client, how do you feel about money? How does money make you feel? Tell me a story, your very first story, encounter with money, and you'll be surprised. People have many, many different stories, and those stories will really determine how they're experiencing money today. And going back, so it's very important that you understand that if you like knowledge, you don't know that you're on that cruise and everything is available to you, you gotta ask. Don't hide. Because I think this in that story, I think this man was too prideful. Don't you think? Many people are so prideful. They sit in their little closet and eat their noodles and crackers, and then they're looking through their windows saying like, I wish I was like somebody else who's eating whatever they want because it's open. It's what do you call it? All you can eat buffet, right? What are you thinking, Ernst?
Gabrielle, excellent, excellent, excellent. Beautiful point. Your upbringing. You could come to money, not necessarily come to money. You can make a lot of money. You still don't know how to go about enjoying it. That is, I'm so glad you said that. If you weren't raised in money,
Mhm.
you don't, you're not find yourself in a fruitful environment, if you will. Yeah, there's a lesson to be learned, right? Knowing what to do. I mean, if you never travel, I mean, I know people like that. Whether it is they've gone to school, they started a job, they start climbing up the socioeconomic ladder, and then what do? They've never been on vacation, right? They've never been in any fancy place. So psychologically, you have to be ready for that. And I'll tell you, Edna said the thing about some people that like seeing for some it's seeing the numbers. That's all they care about, because it's the sense of security that you get from money. Like the more I have, the better. I don't care if I've ever gone to a desired restaurant, any of that. As long as I have money, that's the psychological aspects to it. And that's a great point. I love that point.
Yeah. So, I mean, it is true for many people, that's where they're at. But, I have this important question, and I think, why is it important to live in the present, though? Like, I mean, I think of it like life is not a rehearsal. And you trying to look at because I have relatives that I know who are literally doing exactly what we just said here. They are accumulating, they're seeing numbers, and they're happy with seeing numbers, and they're really not taking advantage of going on a vacation, doing something fun. When you say, oh, let's go away. Oh, no, I don't have any money. Meanwhile, they have plenty. Because at the end of the day, did you all see the video that I posted online? This man who is in bed, on his deathbed, and then all of a sudden, all his quote unquote relatives are mourning his passing. But as soon as they saw him taking his last breath, they all were rejoicing, because they knew that it meant ching, ching, ching. Everything he left behind is gonna be there. So yeah, why is it important to live in the present?
I think that this is keeping us grounded, because a lot of people are missing. It's not only about money, it's about everything, because some people have so many opportunities and it pass by because they are not grounded. Correct. They are not paying attention. And it can be not only about money, it can be about everything.
Like, for example, give me an example. Is it about relationships too?
Also about relationship, because some people are waiting for some big event to happen so they can do something. When they could live that little moment, that will make them so happy, and they will take it, and move forward with it. But they are waiting for, I have friends that I know waiting for, oh, what if I do that and it doesn't do that? What if that is? And they already write chapters and chapters that keep them at the same place, and they never move forward.
Right.
And they miss the
overthinking. They're overthinking life.
They're overthinking, and they miss beautiful time that maybe just that little time will take them somewhere, and they will be happy about it 20 years later. But they let it pass, and all they get is like, what about tomorrow? What about tomorrow? What about tomorrow? They keep on asking questions that they can never have an answer for it, and they miss it.
Yeah, you talk about going to Paris. I remember saying to someone years ago, let's go. We should go as, girls trip and do something fun. This person was overthinking it, and she actually came out and said, I want to go experience Paris with my husband. And she was single with not dating anybody. She is sitting here waiting for that husband to come.
Exactly.
As if every husband you're gonna meet is gonna wanna go to Paris, because some people don't want to travel. And I was like, okay, you see, this here, it's always right here. as soon as I hear I'm already gone.
Yeah. And also in that those people don't take any chances. Like me, I take chances. If I don't succeed, it's okay. I'll start again. But some people, they just talk.
Yeah.
They just talk and they don't want to try anything because it's easier to stay at the same place than to take risks. And the other thing, the other reason why they are like that, because they are afraid of what other people are going to say.
Mm-hmm.
They are afraid of not succeeding
Mm-hmm.
and not be foolish. I have such a great little book that I've read. It's called Who Moved My Cheese?
Who moved my cheese? Yeah.
Oh, this is such, I don't know if you have read it,
Yes.
but this is such a great book for
Yeah.
people who are stuck, who doesn't want to try anything.
They'll be eating your cheese while you're waiting there, sitting over there.
Exactly, because
Yeah.
you can find little a little bite of cheese that will take you to a big maze where you will find a lot of cheese along the way, but enjoy the little pieces as you walk. But some people don't want to do that. They're just thinking about that big pile, and that pile never come because they never try.
Correct. Yeah. And most people are waiting for that big cheese to come. Yeah, or they spend all their time judging those who are taking baby steps.
Yes.
It says do one thing and that one thing will lead to another. That's how you live your best life, by getting up and do one thing. Just like your best life, when you talk about like different aspects of your life, your health, we talked about like baby steps, small steps, small steps. Those do matter, right, Ernst?
Yes, they do. They do. And one thing what Edna says, I think the word for that is do a small celebration along the way. It's okay to have your eye on a prize, so to speak, but along the way you have to stop and have small celebration.
Celebrate your birthday, celebrate that graduations. Like I
Yeah.
have several graduation parties I'm going to for high schools. Yes, you celebrate high school, you celebrate college, graduate school, do all of it. Life is not a rehearsal, right? That's what we said. Life is not a rehearsal. You gotta there's no do-over here. There's no do-over. Once Gabrielle is gone, she's gone. You better take
Yeah.
advantage of her while she's alive,
For sure.
right?
For
Take
sure.
advantage of her now. Some people have lost out on their best years because they're doing exactly what Edna is saying. They're waiting for that miracle to happen. I'm waiting. Now I can say to people, I was over there in the other side of the world. I was there in my 30s. You sitting there waiting for that husband to come so that you can go with him, and you're hitting 50 and you still haven't gone. So you don't want to do that. The blast you want to have is today, not tomorrow. But of course, going back again to where we started when we talked about planning, right? Planning. Again, most people are afraid of dying. They're afraid of dying and living because they haven't created a plan, right? Because at the end of the day, if you want to leave a financial legacy, what do you do, Ernst? What have you done to leave a financial legacy for your kids? While you live life.
Done quite a few things. I mean, it's interesting because I am pretty passionate when it comes to my legacy.
Correct.
Okay.
Mhm.
So I take into consideration where I'm in life, age-wise.
Mhm.
At 55, been physically pretty good, great health. So, not to kind of give away too much personal stuff.
No, just what should people do generally?
I'm planning technically to retire in the next 4 years. I used to joke around with the kids. I used to say, whether I live under a bridge or I have multi-million in my bank account, I'm done at 59. And
great.
the reason being is because I've taken a lot of vacation, a lot of cruise. I used to travel for work, and I used to see people being pushed around. And I said, that doesn't seem like a lot of fun. I'm sure you've seen it too, Gabrielle, right?
I tell folks, I was talking to this young girl, she's 24 years old, and she's like, oh, I'm planning a month and a half trip to Asia. And she's taking a sabbatical from work to do that. And I was like, good for you, girl. Do it now. Because let me tell you, I had the opportunity to go to China for doing school for 7 weeks, I think it was. And I remember going up the Great Wall of China, and I saw people from North America, especially folks here in Canada, were trying to climb those steps. at 65, 70. No, it ain't gonna happen. And it's a different experience too when you wait till when you're older to travel. So yeah, I would
Right.
agree. Definitely.
So,
You don't want to wait
so,
until it's too late.
so I always say I want to take those trips when I'm physically able,
Yeah.
right? So I have stuff in place that's gonna replace my, again, that's something you can relate to being a financial planner. Um, my, what I'm currently working on is replacing my income,
Right.
replacing, every bit of what I make. And I
Mhm.
do okay by all standard, you know? And that's obviously, if this is generating exactly what I make at work, if not more, and it's gonna continue, it's the gift that keep on giving, it's gonna keep going on. And those are the things that I've done without getting into too much detail to make
Yeah.
sure I secure like a financial legacy for my children,
Yeah, we talked about it last week in the small steps. Life will happen though. Sometimes you do get taken off track and you have to get back on track. But I think if you are able, if you're here listening and you're working and you're young in your 20s, you want to start planning early. You have to plan for when the day comes. It will come. Unfortunately, if you are living, you are going to die. So it's very important that you plan for that day. You plan so that you can live life between those years. What do you do
Yep.
with those years? Very important, right?
Yes.
Edna, I mean, like, what are some of the ways that you believe that folks could do, what are some of the things that they could do to plan so that they don't have to live in fear, so that they can live their best life
Me
while here on earth?
personally, you see, I'm into branding,
Uh-huh.
working on my brand. This is what I will consider as my passive income that I don't have to be sitting and working, and that
Mhm.
can be keep going even after I die. Somebody can take that business and keep working it.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
Yeah, so that legacy is very important. But if you are someone who's a parent, because many times folks are not going back again with that story with this gentleman, everything was available to him, but he didn't know. So many are right now at home with everything available to them. All they have to do is go knock in. The Bible says, you knock and the door shall be open unto you. You go knocking and ask for help, saying, like, you know what, I don't sleep at night. And I'm concerned about the future, leaving a legacy for my kids or for my family. And I would like to be able to sleep and have my best life now and plan for the future. What do? You go speak to an attorney, speak to a financial advisor, speak to somebody in your family who already knows. If you don't have that type of money to speak to a financial advisor, and they'll tell you need to create certain legal documents. We had a real estate, actually, we had an estate planning attorney here a while back who talks about the importance of having a POA, a power of attorney, so that if something happens to you today, look at Jamie Foxx, he was at work and then he had a heart attack. Now, if he is someone who had not taken the time to set up a POA, power of attorney, so somebody could manage his business for him while he's at the hospital, it gets very complicated. Have a will. If you have kids, you talked about having 3 children, but now they're all grown. You don't need a will anymore because you don't need a guardian if something were to happen to you. But if you are someone who have children, have a will so you can be sure to appoint a guardian. Guardianship documentation, very important. See an attorney if you have accumulated asset to know, how do I leave all that behind? How do I share with my heirs in a way where I'm not gonna leave a fight behind? Because my gosh, the second you close your eyes, not only people are rejoicing, but they're gonna be fighting. Again, how you live and die matters. How you live is you living your best life, but one of the ways for you not to be always worried and stressed is by having a plan for now and a plan for the future. It's very important. Things are simple. I had written a bunch of stuff here. If you have an account and you're a single person, have POA, POD, so that people can access it if something were to happen to you. It's very important that we do some planning, because planning will give you the peace of mind. Any final thoughts, Edna, about what people can do to live their best life live your best life today and also plan for proper, tomorrow.
I think you say it all. They make plan and seek for advice.
Yeah,
I think that's the best you can do. And don't forget to live.
yeah,
Don't forget to live daily because the time is now. When it's
yeah.
gone, it's gone.
It's gone. Yeah. Don't be like that cruiser eating
No.
crackers and noodles when you actually have what it takes. It's been given to you. It's already available to you that you can have the buffet. But you're so worried about not having the money, not realizing everything is already been paid for. What about you, Ernst? What do you say?
Well, it's really with me, there are certain things I did in life, I did them early enough. And I'm sitting here talking as if I got all my ducks in a row.
Uh-huh.
And it really wasn't the way it was. Because what I do for work now is pretty much a second career. You
Yeah.
know, I'm gonna roll the tape back just a little bit. I started a career. It was something that fell on my lap. I took it and ran with it. I did really well.
Mhm.
When I was 25, I was running a multi-million-dollar company that I own. I
Mhm.
had no idea what I was doing. I was energetic. I was excited. I was making money.
Mhm.
And the person when we were talking about not coming from money, not knowing what to do with it, I
Right.
had money. I had no idea what to do with it.
Mhm.
Absolutely nothing. And the business made the money and take the money back, and I learned from it.
Correct.
So it took me about 28 years after to get where I was in my 20s. I didn't get where I was at 25 financially. I didn't get back there until I was about 51.
Hmm.
So with that being said, I learned from my mistake and I seek out the information.
Yeah.
I really think it's like Edna said earlier, and yourself, living in the moment. Okay, be responsible. I have to say be responsible. Tomorrow is not a promise,
Mhm.
but you got to be responsible, right?
Yeah.
Because you can't spend everything today, but by the saying tomorrow is not a promise, and then not only does tomorrow come, the day after and the day after come, and you have nothing. So that's where planning comes in. Again, we are all in different tax bracket, but if you have the means, seek out the professional. There's people whose jobs are to help you planning.
Yeah.
You
When you're on the
know,
cruise, they have concierge.
yeah.
Go talk to the concierge. They have people on the cruise, whose job is to share information about what's
Yeah.
available here. What can you do? What's for free? What you need to pay
Mhm.
for? Don't sit in your closet, in your cabin, and not go out and asking questions and then
Right.
thinking everybody's having fun except for me.
So with that said, I get really good at asking questions.
Mhm.
There are certain words that growing up were meant to be negative, and I realize it's not. If I see someone enjoying the success that I wish to enjoy, I gravitate towards them. I
Correct.
ask questions.
Mhm.
Not with good intention. Um, so those are things adjustment I've made in my late 40s that are paying off today. So
Yeah.
it's really again, if you're on the right track, work hard, be disciplined, uh, don't forget to live, you
Mhm.
know. And I think sometimes there are little things I do for myself where I celebrate every little moment.
Mhm.
I'm in sales, so if I have a good week, sometimes a good day, sometimes a good month, along the way, I stay motivated because, when you do nice things for yourself, you want more, right? You
Correct.
want to do more. So
Exactly.
you work a little bit harder and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I love music and fame. Fame, I wanna live forever. I'm gonna live
right?
forever. Fame, I'm gonna live forever. And actually, you will die. We all will die. But
Hmm.
guess what? You get to live forever by how you live today, because
And
people will remember you, right, Ernst? If
yeah,
you live well enough and you maximize your potential while you're on Earth, and then was disciplined enough to leave something behind to families, friends,
Absolutely.
and children. Yes.
And,
Yeah, the
and, and
Kennedys, they're living forever because they left something. No, the complications there, but they left something for their families to remember, family members to remember. So it's very important to know that if you want to live forever, you gotta live your best life today.
that's right. That's well said. Well said.
Yeah, resources and information available. Don't get on that cruise, my friend, and be sitting in your cabin eating crackers and noodles and then looking around saying like all these people are lucky because they are doing what you wish you could do. Because you too have already paid the price. You just don't know it yet. Go ask questions. As a matter of fact, your life is in your hands. Nobody gets to live your life for you. You get to maximize your life because how many years you have, some people it's 30 years, some people it's 55 years, some are lucky enough to live 105 years. However many you get, it's up to you. How you live, and it's up to you how you die. What legacy that you're gonna leave behind. And for me, it's very important that I leave a legacy that's positive. But let me tell you, I'm gonna live my life today because today, the time is always now, right, Ernst?
That's right.
Right, Edna? So thank you to all of you for watching. We wanted to have this conversation because we know that everybody wants to talk about living, but nobody wants to talk about dying but it's part of it. It's part of it. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. What you need to do is plan and ask. Don't hide, but come out and ask. Thank you so much for your time. Please tag, share, make a comment. Let your friends know that we are here having really tough discussion. These discussions are not easy because nobody wants to have them. But I hope tonight when you're having dinner or tomorrow, you'll have a conversation with your spouse, your children about what would happen. How would you like me to be remembered? And if they tell you, please go do what you need to do. Thank you so much. Please don't hang up, my friends, but I'm gonna stop the live. Have a blessed night. Stay tuned next week for another great episode of Let's Talk Money with Friends. Thanks again.
Awesome. Thanks for having us.